Let's move on now to discuss Chelsea, and we'll quickly touch on your time at Chelsea. How would you describe playing under Jose Mourinho in one sentence? Could you do it in one sentence?
I can do it in a word, in one word, to be honest. Amazing. Honestly, it was a very special time in my career. I learned so much about the game and so many different ways of playing football compared to when I was at my first City spell. Because when I was at City the first time, it was almost, oh God, there's a spider. Sorry. Right. Yeah, there was a spell where when I was at City, they would just give me the ball. I would just dribble and try and make things happen. Whereas obviously, when Alberkovic and Ali Benabi come in, they kind of changed me a little bit, which kind of set me up to be able to play the way Mourinho wanted me to play because I realized I didn't need to dribble every single time I got the ball. The ball obviously moves faster than a man, and taught me how to run off the ball rather than always on the ball. So. I think, yeah, that was an amazing time in my career. Made so many like friends that I still keep in touch with now. Achieved a lot down there and just appreciated the fans a lot.
And how about Chelsea, the current Chelsea team? How would you assess their season out of 10?
Good. I think, yeah, they did go on a blip through over the Christmas period, but that happens in football. But what I noticed at the end of it, that like in many ways, the boys became men, whether they weren't playing well or not, or scraping through, they figured a way to win games. And Caicedo's for me has been a revelation. I would like for me, he's probably been the best alongside Gravenberch, the best holding midfielder in the Premier League this season. So, and all their players chipped in. They started to chip in because obviously when Jackson goes out injured, Cole Palmer's on a little bit of a dip.
Mm.
Other players started stepping up, Cucurella being the main one in doing that, and that got them to where they are now. So them being in the Champions League next season is something they thoroughly deserve.
Moving on now to some more general quick fire questions. So we'll kick off with how much do you think a prime Shaun Wright-Phillips would cost in today's
I
game?
don't know. If you're saying I went for 21, 24, I'd say close to 100 mil.
Love that. And is there a club that you've ever regretted not joining?
No, no, not one club to be fair. I was just always, I never regret anything. I think the path that I took has made me the person I am today.
Absolutely. And what's the best piece of football advice that your dad, Ian Wright, ever gave you?
Same thing I tell my son and daughter that play. Enjoy the
Mhm.
game. I said, just always enjoy it. Enjoy the hard work, enjoy winning. Obviously, you're not meant to enjoy losing, but you learn from losing more than you learn from winning.
Absolutely. And who's the most competitive in the family? You, Bradley, Ian? What's the dynamic?
Dad, dad by a long way. Brad second and me last.
Really?
Yeah.
Love that. And which rivalry did you feel most personally? The Manchester Derby, the Chelsea v Arsenal rivalry, or Chelsea v Spurs?
Manchester Derby and then Chelsea v Spurs were,
Mhm,
I think, for me, bigger than Chelsea v Arsenal.
mhm. And who in today's game reminds you of your own playing style?
Hmm. I'd say most probably at the minute Doku.
Hmm.
Yeah, at the minute Jeremy, I'd say he's quite off the cuff. He's never predictable. Always wants to cause a problem. I'd say he's pretty similar to the way I try to go up against defenders.
Brilliant. And what's the most memorable moment you had whilst you were travelling with England?
Being on that plane going to the 2010 World Cup is would most probably say is the most memorable moment
In what way? Why was it so memorable?
because it's a dream, isn't it? You always want to play for your country, but you always want to be a part of a major competition as well. Every time I put that shirt on, I felt lucky and privileged, and to go and be able to get on a plane and try and help them be successful in a major tournament was massive to me.
And if you could relive 10 seconds from a moment from your career, what would it be?
Oh, 10 seconds. That's an interesting one. I never thought about that before.
Mhm.
My debut for England.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to relive that again, even if it was just 10 seconds.
Which moment of your debut would you like to relive?
Because it's only 10 seconds, I would say the part where I got to the box and and I shot and it ended up in the back of the net. Just that segment of it.
Absolutely. And talking about players currently, do you think they are too soft now in today's game?
I wouldn't necessarily say they're too soft. Would just say the way coaches and even from Sunday League, my age group and the age group below was spoken to kind of hardened us a little bit
Mhm.
compared to now is I would say it's a bit different from the academy upwards, but wouldn't say necessarily they're too soft. I would just say the game's completely different in many ways. They're protected a lot better than say wingers were when I was on the pitch. I got kicked all over the place and people would still be on the pitch. Whereas now, if they get kicked 2 or 3 times, there's a chance the player's sent off.
And talking of wingers, who do you think is the best winger in the world right now?
In the world,
Mm.
that's a hard one because Rafinha's been unbelievable. But then when you see what Adue's done in the Champions League final, and that's not even forgetting Yamal. So I'm gonna go personal preference, and at the minute, Adue's second, but Yamal. I just enjoy watching the stuff he does and what he sees, and at such a young age, his maturity on his shoulders are unbelievable.
And is there one player that you never want to face again when you were playing?
Yeah, Ashley Cole. He made me defend too much, so yeah, I'd say Ash.
And who's the most underrated player that you played with?
That I played with, Stevie Island. I would say he's most probably one of the most underrated players. When I came back from Chelsea, he was pretty much at the level what I just left. So
Mhm.
when I came into that City team, we kind of had an understanding of how each other wanted to play straight away.
And is there one player that you'd wished you'd played with during your career?
Kevin De Bruyne,
Mhm.
as an attacking player, you always want a player that can see you because you don't really want to call for the ball. Because if you call for the ball, then that defender that's close to you is aware that the ball's possibly coming to you. You just want to be able to, as soon as he turns his head, kind of make your run and your midfielder to see that. And just watching him play over the last 10 years is something that he was very special at, making sure the ball arrives where it needs to arrive at, with pass appreciation at the end of it.
And who was the hardest teammate that you ever had during your career?
Hardest. Maybe Essien,
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd probably go Michael Essien.
Why did you say him?
Because in training, like it got to a point where Mourinho was thinking about making us all train in shin pads because of the way they tackled, and he was leading that.
Did you end up training in shin pads?
No, no, we didn't. I think he was just saying it, but yeah, he was like just solid.
Amazing. And how about the hardest player that you played against?
Unsworth from Everton. He was like he used to just try and just kick me and bully me and all sorts. And I knew I couldn't go up against him with strength, so I
Mhm.
just had to just keep running basically.
Kept you busy on your toes.
Yeah.
And who was the biggest joker in the Chelsea or City dressing room?
At City, when I went back, I most probably say Mika Richards. At Chelsea, Essien was another one up there. He was quiet, but he's always laughing and cracking jokes and dancing around. But I'd say most probably he was the biggest one in training and stuff.
And how about the most stylish teammate that you ever had and anyone that had terrible fashion sense?
Stylish, Claude Makalele. He had swagger back then. And terrible dress sense. I shouldn't say it's terrible, but it's just something we weren't used to seeing in the training ground. But Taribo West came to train with us on trial, and
Mhm.
I'd say he was one of them. He used to come to training like a three-piece suit and tie and shoes and stuff. So I'd most probably say Taribo, yeah.
Great. And if you could only work with one manager again, who would it be and why?
Mourinho. I'd like, don't get me wrong, I would love to play every single game, but as you see with football, that doesn't happen now anyway. Majority of the time is squad rotation, which Mourinho was already doing back then. Just the way he was premeditated, he knew he wanted, he knew when he wanted it, whether it was wrong for the team, if he knew it could win us the game, he would just do it anyway. And I always tell people this story about the Fulham game where it wasn't that me and Joe were playing bad. We just didn't get the ball. We were doing our defensive duty, but attacking wise, the ball just wasn't coming to us. He saw something, and in 25 minutes, he took us both off the pitch. Like, and for me, I laughed because I couldn't believe it. But then we go on and we don't lose the game. So then he's seen something. So I quite liked the way he managed things.
Amazing. And the final question, Shaun, what's your favourite shirt that you ever wore as a player?
My favorite shirt must have been my Man City number 29, because I had it from my academy from the first time I signed. That was the squad number I got given, and that was the squad number I just took all the way through as long as I can with City. And obviously, I could have got it back when I moved back, and I could have had it when I was at Chelsea, but I didn't think it was right taking that number from somebody else because they might have been in the same position I was, how they got it. So I just, hence the reason why I had so many different numbers afterwards.
Brilliant. Well, that's the end of the questions, Shaun. It's been an absolute pleasure to get your insight. It's been fantastic. So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
No problem, Ella.